you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're not done with me yet. So welcome to Sustainability 101 for hotels. Here on our panel, we have Angela Nagy, President and CEO of GreenStep Solutions. We have Kelly Watt, Director of Special Projects for the Sandman Hotel Group. And we have Vinil Sood, Business Development Manager of Quality Inn and Suites for the Hotel Vernon. Sustainability can feel crowded, it can feel complicated, and it can feel hard to navigate. This panel is going to bring together GreenStep, BCHA's EcoFund partner, and hoteliers who are truly walking the walk to show what's making a difference in BC hotels. First, I think we want to just get a little introduction from our panelists. Angela, can we start with you to try to understand your role with GreenStep and tell us a bit about how you're up here, why you're up here?
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Angela Nagy, founder of GreenStep. I started the company 18 years ago with a strong desire to help change the world through business. And since then, we've been helping folks in the hotel sector and outside of the hotel sector across the country and around the world to measure and improve their sustainability performance. And we're really proud and honored to be great partners with the BC Hotel Association in helping all of you on your sustainability journeys.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kelly Watt, and I'm with Sandman Hotel Group, as mentioned. So I started this journey after decades of working in operations and frontline with the hotels and restaurants. About 2 years ago, when our company decided that they would like to do some focus on decarbonization, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, and that's led into a lot more steps along the journey. And I support and assist about 62 hotels in North America, across Canada, and 3 down in Texas. And so that's what's brought me here today and sharing that story.
My name is Vinil. On paper, I'm the manager, but more of the maintenance guy at the Quality Inn in Vernon. We've taken a few steps towards sustainability, both before and after getting our certifications. So I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that smaller hotels, budget and mid-scale hotels can do that doesn't have to break the bank and could actually be very worth doing.
Thanks, Vinil. Angela, before we get into the how, let's start with the why. At a macro level, why should hotels today be thinking about sustainability as part of their overall strategy?
I think in particular today, as all kinds of things are affecting our economy, and maybe with the exception of natural gas, the cost of most things are going up. They continue to go up, and trends over time, of course, they're continuing to go up. So there are significant cost savings opportunities available to hoteliers who make strategic investments in reducing their consumption of energy, reducing consumption of water, and reducing the production of waste and material inputs into their properties. First and foremost, I think that is a key driver today, and that strategic investment is really key. A lot of folks will make kind of one-off investments or projects, but having a strategy and having a plan and measuring results and cost savings to communicate benefits to ownership is so important. You touched on it a little bit in your presentation, Johnny, with both employee demand for sustainability, attraction, or retention, and making it a really important part of your HR strategy, how you post your jobs, to how you reward your teams, and then of course consumer demand and that desire to not only work for an organization that resonates with your personal values, but also to visit a property that resonates with your personal values. And I love your analogy of the tiebreaker. It might not be what when you're looking for when you're booking a property, but it may be that deciding factor that, hey, this property compared to this property, I love what they're doing, they seem like a really cool place to stay, and that's where I want to go.
And especially in the younger generation, they're looking for values-led companies to work with, right, and to work for. So it's interesting, actually. I was just in Banff and Jasper a couple of weeks ago for a storytelling client, and their GreenStep and their EcoFund, and we're mapping their sustainability initiatives and where we can communicate that through the customer process. But what I don't think anyone was really anticipating was how well this messaging is also going to be able to resonate with the employees, especially in transient communities where most people are just looking for a job right away. They landed in Canada, they're there for 6 months, they're there for a year, and then all of a sudden they see the same signage that the guest is seeing, and they realize that they're actually part of something bigger. Definitely. Kelly, building on that, Sandman has made significant progress in this space. Can you walk us through your journey? What prompted you to lean in, and how that's evolved over time?
So yeah, when we actually started, when the company decided to appoint a position focused on this to support and assist the different properties, a big focus was the greenhouse gas emissions, energy savings, and conservation. But it really did develop into a bigger picture with the whole sustainability, including, the social governance side of that as well. And the interesting thing is our company it's a privately owned, family-owned company that's been around for decades, and built substantially in the industry. There's always been a commitment to supporting community, to making sure we're doing the right things. The interesting thing was when we started with the certification process, that really brought to light how much of that was already happening, but coalescing it into a coordinated, recognizable aspect of our company for our teams was really, really helpful. And that's where the certification really identified a lot of what the possibilities and opportunities were, in addition to the energy saving and environmental impact. So that was, I think the certification really helped highlight where we could actually continue to grow and where we could take it. So that's been really the push for us that we've done in the last year, is the certification of 61 of our 62 hotels. We've got one left to go, but that was really helpful for the teams as well to start recognizing that what we have been doing contributes to that whole sustainability process in their community and their markets.
And when it comes to the cost saving, is there anything that you guys have seen right away as well?
Yeah, so when we started the process of getting our properties all assessed and making sure that we had the baseline measurements, we did that about 2 years ago. And so in our first full year of full-on measurement, we did see significant reduction across the chain of about probably 4.5% reduction in energy consumption, as well as just shy of $1 million in energy cost savings. So that was pretty significant for us to see in that 2025 compared to 2024. And that being able to see that for the chain is great, but it's also really helpful for the individual hotels that really saw reductions in their actual consumption.
It's something that I've seen a lot through my journalism work around the world too, and I always think back to this one example in Botswana, in this safari lodge. They actually retrofitted almost their entire fleet to be EVs, and they worked with a company out of South Africa. So they gutted the Land Rovers and they made them EVs, and they did it themselves. And the cost savings on fuel were huge. Yeah. So it was a big upfront cost to begin with, but the cost savings in the end on fuel were massive, especially with the price of diesel now. I bet you they're definitely laughing that they. And that's something that my friend Hans from Cayuga has said too. What I don't think a lot of people understand is sometimes it might take a little bit of investment at the beginning, but it actually does make economic sense for the business to be investing in this. Vinil, to bringing it to the property level, what was the why for Quality Inn & Suites in Vernon? What motivated you to get started, and what were some of the first steps you took?
So to give you guys a little bit of background myself, I joined the property around 2023 full time, but I grew up in this industry, right, since I was 9 years old, folding sheets with my mom and stuff like that. So after college, coming into the industry, I had a passion towards sustainability kind of from the get-go, between high school, college as well. So almost right away, one of the things I started looking at was sustainability because I wanted to bring that to Vernon. At that time in 2023, there wasn't a ton of properties in that area that were really focused in on sustainability. So one thing that we had done was there's an organization called Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, also known as TOTA, and we joined their, yeah, see, at least somebody knows about it. All right, so we joined their Biosphere program, and it took us about 9 months to go from Biosphere committed to Biosphere certified, and in that time, you know, I didn't have a ton of money to work with, I still don't, but I focused on the low-hanging fruits and then just going step by step by step, uploading the evidence, doing, you know, whatever it was, recycling, composting, heat pumps. Solar panels came in later, but that was also something that we took on. But for the reason why I was passionate about sustainability, I started with the low-hanging fruit, and then I built from there.
Great. I'm going to kind of go down a little bit further on this because I feel like this is a bit more relevant now. Angela, one of the biggest barriers we're hearing from operators is costs. So what funding options and programs are available to help take on sustainability projects like the EcoFund?
Well, after our work with hoteliers for a number of years, in 2015, we started piloting our EcoFund program, which was designed specifically to help address that barrier that we were continuing to hear, that we want to do more, but we don't have the budget, we don't have the time, and we don't know where to start. We just don't have the knowledge. So we wanted to take all of those barriers off the table and launch the EcoFund program. And today we're deploying millions of dollars every year into projects that are reducing significant emissions, significant energy consumption, and significant costs. So the EcoFund program that we've partnered with Sandman Hotel Group on and several other properties, the BC Hotel Association and others across the country, is one that provides significant budget to invest. Some other great programs in British Columbia, Fortis BC and BC Hydro, both have some great incentive programs available to help improve that ROI, speed up the payback period of those investments in energy efficiency in particular. There's also the accelerated capital cost allowance, which is a federal tax program that allows you to depreciate the cost of an investment in something like an EV or solar more quickly. I think this year we were looking at it, there's a couple of folks I was talking about this with last night. You can write off 55% of the cost of something purchased in 2025 or 2026. If you purchased in 2025 and haven't filed your taxes yet, 75% of the cost of an EV or solar, and there's some other things in there as well. And there may be also regional programs that are available through communities to help just accelerate the adoption of those investments. But even without the funding, those strategic investments, understanding what is the payback period, what is the ROI, a lot of those expenses can be justified and will deliver great payback.
And mapping the EcoFund initiative for one of my clients a couple weeks ago is actually really fun because you get to actually show what the purpose is of that charge. They're going to see the destination marketing fee, they're going to see the tax, and they're going to see an EcoFund. And a lot of us see EcoFunds like when we buy an electronic at Costco or whatever, and we see it goes to recycling, we see the recycling fee. We don't actually know where that goes or how that contributes to the recycling fee. But what's really fun as a storyteller is I actually get to map the EcoFund initiatives. And one of the cool ones that this client invested in was a biodigester, right? So the biodigester, maybe the piece of machinery itself might not be that sexy, but the data is, in my opinion. But you know, I don't think we're going to put a camera facing the biodigester because you're going to have staff constantly putting compost stuff in that. But what you can show is the actual screen that the biodigester is able to show for how many kilos of waste or carbon has been. You know the biodigesters? Have you seen those? Do you guys have one?
We don't have one.
You don't have one yet? But yeah, the data that it shows. So you can have that live data so that you can see the feed of like, okay, well, the EcoFund funded the biodigester. The biodigester literally takes compost and turns it into gray water. That's the only byproduct of it. and then you can see all the data that it's showing in terms of environmental initiatives, environmental conservation. So it's great. This one is going to be for the group. Let's talk about the business case. So where are you seeing the strongest operational and marketing benefits from sustainability efforts? And how should hotels be thinking about this as part of their overall performance? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
I think the strongest indicator of the right path for us is in partnering with our EcoFund partners, with GreenStep, as well as Fortis and BC Hydro. There's definitely been opportunities there to really see that bottom line impact, as well as see the actual measured savings in energy. That's probably it. The marketing side is really important as well, but initially to get everything really ingrained and really taken off with our operations teams, it's that savings. So I think in the first 2 years of being involved in this, we've been able to invest about $2.5 million into mechanical retrofit upgrades that actually have shown considerable reductions and saved considerable money. So that investment has been facilitated with having an EcoFund, as well as the incentives and rebates that are available from our partners with BC Hydro and Fortis. So having the opportunity to really investigate those has been huge. From the marketing side, it really is taking off now in that we're getting a lot of inquiries, and our requests for our RFPs are requesting specific information about sustainability journey, what you're doing, what we're doing, and being able to demonstrate that measurably. So from the operations side and the marketing side, it's really picked up on the impact.
You probably see that in meetings and conventions, hey, too. That a lot of conventions coming, or a lot of meeting spaces that are being used are actually requiring that data too, that you're investing in sustainability.
A lot of RFPs for meeting space, we don't deal with a lot of that ourselves because that's more on a food and beverage side. But what we're really seeing the impact is for the overseas travel and tour and travel companies.
Oh.
So lots of especially the European they're really interested. They want to see the results of what you're doing and where you are.
Great. Vinil, you were going to say something?
So from a marketing side, if you get an eco certification, for example, Green Key or Biosphere, and you promote that eco certification online, so you get that pretty little leaf on Google, on booking.com, it'll show you, it'll show the guests which certifications you have. You can also do something on Expedia as well. Then for sure, you will get more bookings from that, like 100%. From another marketing point of view, our solar panels, so that project is a 17 kilowatt project. We have 34 solar panels on our roof. One of the reasons we invested in that project was for the marketing, because you could actually see those panels from the highway, from the parking lot even. So that's also a marketing thing. I found that we didn't see a massive difference in our review scores or from people commenting on it from the solar panels, because it wasn't directly impacting the guest experience. So when I look at marketing now in the projects that I do, I look at what can I do to make an impact on the guest experience while reducing my CO2 emissions, my water consumption, etc. So an example of that would be, we had some of our in-room fridges from like 2004, and they didn't look great. They were kind of beat up. They were relatively loud compared to some of the newer appliances today. So when we replaced those fridges with the newer ones, not only did it save us money, but it also improved the guest experience. It looked nicer, it's quieter, so we get less noise complaints. So on paper, our ROI on that might be like 12 years. And for me, that's too long. You know, I'm gonna be pushing 40, I'm gonna be old at that time, you know, so I'm like, but come on, I gotta have a little bit of fun here, right? But when you improve the guest experience, I didn't want to get invited, but I'm just joking. When you improve the guest experience, now you can make your money back within 3 years. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, it goes from do I have to invest in sustainability to I get to invest in sustainability. I want to do something because I know that I'm going to be beating the stock market, the index funds, the mutual funds, and I'm also going to be reducing my energy consumption, and that's what the guests will notice every time.
Just to add to that, as far as getting started, if you're a BCHA member, we partnered with the BCHA a few years ago to produce the BCHA Sustainability Playbook. And there is really step-by-step guidance in the playbook on how to get started on this journey. And one of the first things that is recommended is to start a green team. And lots of hotels have started green teams in the past, and they have some energy to begin with, and they get some things done, and then they kind of fizzle. Because there isn't, it's like, well, what do we do next? We don't know. Nobody's really engaged. But getting a green team started, measuring your baseline, and building out an action plan that looks into what are the things we can do over the next several years, because you can't do everything at once, helps to build the momentum, helps to give you the data that you need from which you can then track those energy savings over time. And some great places to start with baseline measurements are, if you haven't already, working with the BCHA's energy specialist to come in and do an energy assessment, get your data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager, start doing that tracking for you to make it easier. We also offer a free sustainability score that can be a lead-in to the Sustainable Tourism Certification Program, but you can also just do it as a free tool to allow you to do an assessment and look at how you're performing across management practices, socioeconomic impacts, cultural practices, and of course the environmental practices, to help you build out that action plan so that you can say, these are the things we want to do to improve our performance, to improve our score, to identify cost savings over time, and then your green team has something to keep them busy and to keep them engaged for many years.
One of the things one of my clients does to empower their green team is they actually have like an internal dragon's den. And so their internal dragon's den gets to come up with ideas to spend the EcoFund on different initiatives for decarbonization. So it really keeps the employees feeling like they're part of a greater purpose too. I think I forgot to mention this before earlier. We do have a Q&A on the app, so please do ask any questions from either session. And we will spend 10 minutes at the end going over those. Thanks. Where did that lead me into now? There's growing attention around how sustainability is communicated. Angela, I think I would like to ask this one for you. Especially with increased scrutiny around claims. How should hotels be thinking about measurement, frameworks, and sharing their progress with confidence?
Mm-hmm. So there are two kind of pieces of legislation that are driving that, in addition to just increased consumer scrutiny. But the EU Green Claims Directive, so anybody who's marketing or communicating, trying to attract guests from Europe, and then Bill C-59, which has the anti-greenwashing legislation that is requiring that if you are talking about sustainability, that you're doing so in a way that is credible. So it's no longer acceptable to say we're green or we're sustainable without being able to talk about why. The cool thing is that if you follow the example of these folks, or if you follow the guidance in the BCHA Sustainability Playbook, you will have the evidence and the data and the facts that you need to tell a really credible story. So you don't need to be afraid of putting yourselves out there. So the key is ensuring that you're talking about what you're actually doing and finding ways, or partnering with someone like Jonny to help you find ways to make it sexy, to make it something that employees, but guests, of course, ultimately can wrap their brains around, can align with, and that can say, I was able to support a really cool property by because of these reasons that I learned about in my pre, during, and post guest experience. And then, of course, I think the other reason it's really important to be able to do that is, as Kelly was mentioning, bidding on RFPs, where those questions are being seen more and more. And they don't just want to hear that you have recycling. They want to know, like, what is your impact? What is your track record? What is your history? And if you can articulate that better than the next guy or gal, you might have the chance of winning that business.
Do you want to add something?
I was just going to add, you know, in addition to the tour companies, we're getting a lot of those inquiries now from corporate RFPs and negotiated rates, that kind of thing. So that's been interesting as well, and they do get more complex every year, the questions that they ask and that kind of thing. So I think that's important to note as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Booking.com data doesn't lie, right? 83% of travelers say sustainability is important to them. So where are they getting that?
They need to be able to find it. That's the thing
Yeah.
that, you know, it's important, but they can't find it. They can't find it on your website.
Yeah.
They can't find it in that sort of pre, during, and post experience. So that's
It's
so important.
A lot of the times it's buried 4 clicks deep in the website, and it's hard, and it's not updated, and yeah. Vinil and Kelly, for operators looking to invest, where, did I say this already? Where do you see the highest return on cost savings? Yeah, I did. Sorry. Angela, what are the biggest roadblocks hotels are facing when it comes to taking action? Where do you see operators getting stuck most often?
I think, as I mentioned, the conversations over the years really did reveal and continue to reveal that kind of time, budget, knowledge. And because there's so much you can do, I mean, sustainability is a big tent. You've got the eco-efficiency, the energy, water, waste savings. You've got kind of wilderness conservation, regeneration, regenerative tourism opportunities. That just adds another layer of complexity. The natural, cultural, history, heritage, storytelling, management practices, socioeconomic impacts. It can be overwhelming. So I think sometimes people just get stuck because they just don't know what to do, and doing nothing seems easier than doing something. So just getting started and having that plan and bringing a team together, so it's not just one person who has this whole thing sitting on the side of their desk that they, you know, this sustainability file that they dread looking at because of that overwhelm. Getting that team together, setting some goals, coming up with 3 to 5 actions that you can take in a year, and then moving those things forward can make it feel a lot more achievable than otherwise.
I think employee empowerment is one of the biggest parts, one of the biggest, one of the easiest ways to help drive that needle forward, especially, like I keep saying, the younger generation. But, you know, these values are important to the staff, and so if you can empower them to start a green team and to really take this on as well, then that's going to be a big win.
And there's evidence that shows that those team members who get engaged on that journey, if you ask, you know, put out a call who wants to be on the committee, you'll attract those folks that are like, yes, I love this stuff. I want to be part of it. Those team members are going to be more engaged as employees. They're going to be more productive as employees, and they're going to stick around longer. They're going to be more loyal. And those are the kinds of team members you really want.
Yeah, we keep hearing this about staff retention, right? And it is a big part of it. I would like to talk about green hushing to finish the session up, and then we're going to go into the Q&A here. Green hushing is where hotels are doing the work and not talking about it. What is your advice to operators on finding the right balance between credibility and visibility? It's something that I see a ton of as well, especially in the storytelling side. They're like, well, I'm not doing everything, so I don't want to talk about anything. And that's not really the way to approach it. The approach is to really be proud of your success and to address what you've succeeded at. And by not talking about anything, it's not really moving the needle forward in terms of your communication. So green hushing is definitely a thing we see a lot. Does anyone want to take that first?
Sure. So we have a number of initiatives that we've taken at the hotel. I cannot explain everything to my guests, so I try to find like one or two top things to talk about. So for example, we have an Instagram page, Quality in Vernon, and in that, in one of our highlights, we have our solar. And I take screenshots every few weeks or whatever it is, and I'll share with people how many tons of CO2 we've offset. I've started getting more into marketing and things like Google ads and meta ads and stuff like that. So sometimes I also boost those posts as well to be able to reach a wider audience. Also in our descriptions, we used to do it kind of more so of, we were a Super 8 back in 2021, and we used to do it more so from our descriptions from a like value budget type of thing. And now we're trying to bring it more towards a sustainability slash like wellness type of thing, to be able to share stories and be able to hopefully connect with the guests in a way that will help drive more bookings. And in terms of green hushing, yeah, like there might be some things where I could be doing a little bit better in terms of telling people what we've got going on. I would rather tell a little bit too less than tell a little bit too more, because I don't want to set way too high expectations. But also in your rooms as well, it'll tell the story. If you have, you know, high efficiency appliances, whether it's heat pumps or microwaves or fridges, guests will also see, yeah, that's a more sustainable hotel than if you still are using those really old boxy air conditioners with those baseboard heaters.
Thanks. We do have a few questions I want to get to. Is that okay? The first one is, what is an example of something hotels can do that will have the greatest sustainable impact that has a great story? I think this might be for all of us. Does anyone else want to take it first?
Sure, I'll go. I think one of the most important things that I would recommend is to actually pursue the certification process, to go through that assessment, to get the certification so that your teams feel confident that the steps are underway and they recognize what the goals and objectives are. And I think that part of the process is really far more important than I originally thought it would be, just because it does bring that engagement, and then it does have that story that your teams can feel good about the fact that they're pursuing this as a property and as a team, and that they can talk about it in a way that's, you know, without the green hushing, to make sure that they've got the confidence and the understanding of what the goals and objectives are. And because a lot of those, that certification process really does highlight things that are already being done, and also identifies a lot of opportunities that are not huge capital investments, but it is something that you can share both from a marketing perspective and for your team to have those bragging rights of, this is what we've done.
Yeah.
And just building on that, I think, you know, the badge isn't necessarily what's creating the impact, but the ability to understand where you've got gaps and where you've got opportunities as the foundation for building your roadmap is really powerful. And that's what's going to have impact and what's going to help you to identify, these are the projects that we're going to pursue. And I think from a anti-green hushing and anti-green washing perspective as well, it gives you the roadmap that you can share your story around. So you can say, hey, we're not perfect. This is where we're at today, and this is where we plan on being in 5 years. And these are the things that we're planning on working on, and we're gonna keep updating our story every year or every quarter to tell you where we're at on our journey, so you can turn that into part of your sustainability story.
Absolutely, and I just want to say one quick thing before we go to the next question, as well, is the engagement with your local Indigenous communities as well, and showing that you have that shared storytelling. I was really impressed to see the Indigenous art, the hotel across the street and every floor, and gives the story. I was impressed with the storytelling beside it, because it gave purpose to the art too, right? And just shows that you are engaged with your community and engaged with the environment around you. For hotels considering EcoFund, what does implementation look like from day one, and how do we get started?
I can share that, and then maybe Kelly, if you want to fill any gaps. Well, we've got we're from day one. Well, we've got Joe Reed and Mike McLeod in the room who are both supporting on helping folks get started on that journey. But really, we're going to talk about what goals are, establish that eco fee, get things set up, have a team training on what it's all about so they can answer any questions if you get questions from guests. But then when it comes down to actually making impact, we do an energy assessment, a full prioritization of all the projects that are identified, looking at what all of the incentives and rebates available are to help support those projects, help to get quotes and understand what are those projects going to cost to implement. We can work with existing suppliers, preferred suppliers, or if you don't have suppliers for that thing that we've identified, we'll go out and get some quotes and find some suppliers for you. And then we build a roadmap. Here's what the next 3 to 5 years are going to look like. In some cases, we've done a full decarbonization strategy that's fully costed, fully budgeted, so that that can go into your capital planning project, which is another thing. We'll look at your existing capital plans so that we can see what are you already planning on investing money in, and where could we make sure that those investments are in things that are the most energy efficient opportunities available to help you cut your costs. And then on an annual basis, we do storytelling, help to support that through spotlights on projects that have been implemented, and then a full report to show here's how we've reduced your carbon footprint, your energy consumption, your waste, your water, and of course the cost savings that have resulted.
What are some of the most innovative uses of EcoFund that you've seen?
Oh gosh, well you mentioned one with the biodigester, an ice explorer that for Pursuit's Columbia Glacier tour, Columbia Icefield. Glacier. That's a really cool. That's a really cool project.
Don't quote me on this, but I think they might have worked with Frontiers North's
They did.
team who does so they have the polar bear viewing trips up near Churchill, and they actually electrified a bunch of their fleet. So now when you're on the big buggies, they're a very similar product to what's on the Glacier.
Mm-hmm.
So their Pursuit's introducing their first electric ice explorer this year, which is probably about $100,000 investment, I think. And that was funded by EcoFund.
Yeah, and it has a profound impact on wildlife as well because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. I don't know, Kelly, what would you say the most innovative uses of your eco?
Well, ours haven't been quite as fancy or exciting.
Pipe insulation.
You can't
fine.
ride them, but a lot of equipment like dual fuel, HVAC equipment, high efficiency domestic hot water. So a lot of those type of things is what we've been finding. Building automation systems. So they're kind of not the fun things that the guest sees, but doing them right hopefully saves us the energy and the money, but also doesn't impact, we make sure that it doesn't impact guests' experience. Like the last thing they want is a cold shower or whatever. So ours has been more we've got a lot of older buildings that require a lot of retrofitting. So some of these systems that we've implemented in the last couple of years have been interesting for us and a little bit across the edge for us, but also not really the things that are going to show up. We don't have any solar panels yet.
So I'm assuming with strong tourism years comes stronger eco-funds, right? So this upcoming summer, you're going to see a heavier investment in EcoFund due to greater demand. So it kind of begs the question, now's the time to get involved. That's all we have time for. Thank you so much to the panel, and I hope everyone enjoyed that, and feel free to find us after if you have more questions.